Hello, and today we're going to be going over my project for my Aviation 326 Liberty University Summer A Term class. My name is Eric Freeland, and my project I went over, we were given a task to uh, cover a topic in the commercial flight training process, which we thought was the most important part of the flight training. For mine, I am doing it on cross-country planning. So we'll get into that and explain why. So we're going to look into the most important thing to understand in the commercial training. For me, like I said, it's the cross-country planning, and there's a few reasons why that is my most important topic that we can go over. First is that now that you've got your commercial license, you can now get hired to fly person or property from one place to another. To go from one airport to another airport is your cross-country flight. No matter how far the distance is, it could be 20 miles away or 200 miles away. It's still a cross-country flight. So you need to know how to fly those routes, how to plan for those routes, who to talk to, how to talk to them, how to get your weight and balance and everything situated. So you need to understand how all that stuff works. There's also different rules that you have to understand to make your flight legal, and we'll get into all that stuff in a second. So most of us that get the commercial license, we have the dream of becoming that airline pilot, flying for a big airline. Sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you choose to stick to somewhere smaller, fly privately or fly, for a smaller operation or corporate business. As far as the airlines go, it's not so much of a big thing for you to know how to draw up the flight plan because that's going to be handled through a dispatcher. But especially for the 135, 91 guys, like you have to know how to draw your flight plan, how to understand how it works, what your weight and balance is. Every little detail you have to do it yourself on the Part 135 guys, which are like your, small airline cargo places, companies like that. Then your 91 guys or your private guys who fly, people who own their own jets around and things of that nature. So that's basically just you on your own for the most part. And then your commercial guys with the airlines, they have someone that'll help them do that, and you just have to understand how to read it and how to plug it in your computer in the airplane. So just real quickly, some of the rules that you have to know about. The flight needs to be legal. You need to understand, is this flight considered, private common carriage? Are you holding out? So a few just real quick examples is, your private carriage is when you fly for like, I use the example of a person who owns their own plane. It's private. You're basically offering your service as a pilot to that person or a very, very few select group of people. And then you've got your common carriage, which I look at airlines because they basically sell the flight to the public. So that way anybody can purchase a ticket and can get on that flight and go to that flight. And then holding out is just when, you don't, basically you're advertising yourself to do a job which you can't really do. So you just can't just up and say, hey, I can fly you here and there. And if you don't follow within the accordance of what the law is wrote for holding out, it can get you in a lot of trouble as a commercial pilot. So understanding how all this stuff works and what you can and can't do is very crucial to having a commercial license. So just a real quick conclusion, to me, cross country is basically the bread and butter of the commercial flight world. There are only a handful of jobs in which you have as a commercial pilot where you don't fly cross country all the time. For the most part, you're flying cross-country flights, having to transition from tower or from ground to tower to ATC, and back down, and it's a lot of stuff goes into the planning and the weather and everything. So it's a big topic, and you need to understand how it works in order to be a safe pilot and also a legal pilot. As far as the rules and regulations go, which you have to follow to understand how the flight is legal and how to make it legal. So that is it for me, and for my main thing to cover and understand in your commercial training. Thanks.